Oh my God, we can hear your voice. Yeah. Welcome to the show, I guess, or welcome to whatever this ends up being. Listen, I have been. If you know who I am, first of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kevin. I've been shooting video and photography since when? Has to have been like 2016. A few years. I'm old. But here's the thing that I didn't anticipate, that I don't think anybody anticipates when you enter into sort of a world of creative freelancing and entrepreneurship in general is, first of all, me personally, I didn't expect any of this, what has happened, to happen in the first place, to be in a position where, because at first when I started, I was just doing it, just to be creative, to make things that look cool and that I've always wanted to try to do. And then for it to turn into something that would, put me in a position where I could not only do it for other people, but to then turn it into something of a job is just, it was not in my wildest fantasies was that ever entered into my mind when I first started making, these silly little videos for the internet that I didn't think anybody was watching, by the way, except for me. But here's the thing about entering into that world is you start to meet these really interesting people. You start to meet these, people that are all kinds of insane and messed up in the same way that you are. And you're thinking, oh, wow, not only am I not the only person who feels this way, I am nowhere near the level of these people. Some of these people are people that have been, working on their craft or working on their thing, whatever it is, for years before you ever found your thing. And I find I was in a really interesting position to where I'm not really sort of on these people's level per se, because here's the thing again about being in this whole world is that you find that you're not kind of walking the same path as these people, but your paths might run parallel, your paths might cross, and ultimately we're all kind of, I don't even want to say that we're all trying to get to the same place. We're all just walking our own path, and we're all just staying in our own lanes. Every once in a while we might cross. Every once in a while we might be in a position where we're running parallel, but we're close enough to each other where we could wave to each other from the tracks. But for me, I get to directly interact with these people, and I get to enter their world for a abbreviated amount of time, because it's part of my job to understand who they are and what they do in order for me to capture it. But I'm hearing a lot of these stories, and I meet a lot of these really fascinating people and all these great people, all these really inspiring people. And I hear all these incredible stories, and as much as I can, do my thing to enter into their world and try to capture it and try to share it in a visual way, as much as I get to do that, I don't really get to. You don't really get to give the full picture, because for a lot of what I do, you got to get your message across in like a minute, maybe. If you get the opportunity to do a long form video, that in itself is rare, but still you're trying to always captivate attention, and you're always trying to maintain attention. But there's never really a true storytelling medium that I can use to help these people tell their stories or share their stories. Because, a lot of them, almost all of them, I would say, if you're in a position where you're doing something on your own, that has to come from somewhere. There's an internal conviction. Nobody's making you do that. So a lot of these people have all these really interesting stories. They have these interesting insights and all these experiences that make them who they are. And I can capture it to a certain extent, but I always kind of walk away from a project feeling like, okay, well, we created something, but it's not entire. It's true in a way, it's true in the sense that we captured it in a way that was honest to who they are or what the thing is, but we're telling it in a very, very tailored and very, premeditated way. And I just feel like there's a lot more to a lot of these people that I'd love to get into. And also, I don't even feel like I get to learn the whole story, because there's a lot of questions that feel invasive to ask under certain circumstances. And so you just kind of wonder. But so now enter the show. So this is, okay, I'm not an idiot. I got the idea for doing the show by listening to all these other shows, you know, talking to these accomplished people, just podcasts like the Nerdist or ID10T, Joe Rogan's show, Short Story Long with Drama. I listen to all these shows and I love them, and they're just so they're so engaging, and I learn so much from them, and they're just really valuable pieces of content that get put out there. And I'm thinking, well, what if I throw my little hat in there, and what if I try to contribute to this? Because it's, first of all, it seems like a lot of fun. Like I said, there's a lot of questions that are invasive, that can come off as invasive to ask if you just, oh, hey, you run into somebody, oh, hey, how's this whole part of your life going that I know is happening, but it's kind of awkward for me to ask it to you in a casual way when you're not prepared for it. But, there's a lot of stories there that should be told. And I feel like I meet so many of these people, and I would love for them to have their stories told, or to know part of their stories. But nobody is really, they're not really in the same network of people. They're not going to show up on podcasts that I listen to, probably, just because geographically, a lot of the podcasts I listen to are based in Los Angeles. And so, but you know what? These people are in my network. Just have some conversations. That's the whole idea is just to have these, real sort of conversations. You want to get to that level of conversation that, like, 3 drinks in and you're talking about life, that level of conversation, that depth of conversation, because, the next day you kind of just try to pretend like none of that ever happened. But, like, if you can create conditions to where, you create this open forum, and you can talk about whatever you want. You can express ideas, and you can share stories. I just feel like it's such a valuable thing to do, and I would love to be a part of it. So here we go, man. I'm throwing my hat in. We're going to give it a shot. As of recording this podcast, I've literally just figured out how to get the whole audio thing working. So we're going to be very, very bare bones for the first little bit. I got my dual mic setup working finally. Hopefully one day I'm hoping to upgrade the audio equipment, but for right now we're running very bare bones. So I got microphone 1 and microphone 2. As you can tell, the microphone 2 quality slightly different than mic 1. So mic 1, which is what you're hearing right now, is probably going to go to the guest because I think it sounds better. And mic 2 will be my voice. I'll host here and we'll listen here. Okay, anyways, sorry, I'll put that one down. Try not to... Okay. So I've got, as of recording this podcast, it's January 12th. When this goes up, I have no idea, but my plan for it is to, these are all going to be pre-recorded. I've got a few people that I'm speaking to right now that I can't wait to sit down and have these conversations with, and I can't wait for all of you to hear these stories and to hear these conversations. I hope they go well. I think they'll go well. I'm starting pretty safe in that I'm going to start with people that I consider friends, good friends, and let's just try to have some fun with this. Let's just try to have some fun with it. It could be fun. I think it's going to be fun. So as of when you're hearing this episode, I don't know when you're hearing this episode, hopefully soon, but episode 1, can I say the guest? I'll say the guest names. I think I know who I'm going to drop first. So episode 1 with Stephanie Earle, I'm going to drop it alongside this we'll call it episode 0.5. The introduction, it might be different. That sounds a little bit corny, but it could work. Maybe I'll run with it. We'll see. But I'm going to drop it alongside this one. I just didn't, I wanted to have a platform to introduce the show or to give some background to the show without having to preface Stephanie's episodes. Well, I've never called her Stephanie before. It's weird. Steph's episode. Instead of having to put this long-winded preamble in front of Steph's episode, I figured I'd, let's put a little intro alongside of it, and then we'll start fresh with episode 1 with Steph Earl. And so if you're listening to this, episode 1 is available right now. You can go ahead and download it or listen to it however you're listening to this one. And I hope you really enjoy it. I hope we get some great insight. I hope to learn a lot from this. I think I will. But yeah, like I said, this is all about just learning about, getting on the inside headspace. It's not even all going to be necessarily entrepreneur people. Just so happens that the first batch of people that I'm bringing in all have that sort of entrepreneurial tendency. A lot of them are starting business, but that's just because it's based around the kind of clientele that I have and the kind of network that I have coming from my, photography and videography background. It just so happens that network is full of a lot of budding entrepreneurs. So those are the conversations, but like ultimately my goal with this is to just have those deeper conversations. Some of these we might just kind of fire off topics. We might do some fun ones, some that just don't have anything to do with business at all, because it's not a secret. There's 100 of those out there. There's so many of them out there. There's no reason for you to listen to mine over others except for my stupid voice. So hopefully, my stupid voice, and hopefully the people that I get to bring in and have these conversations with. So let's just get to know some people. Let's try to make some friends, because I could always use a few more of those. And I hope you guys really, really enjoy this, and I hope this is a lot of fun to do. I'm sure it will be. I'm already having a great time. This feels great. This is a lot of fun. How are you guys? How is your... I don't know when you're hearing this, so I'm not going to ask about what your time is like, because we could all be in World War III, or we could all, anything could happen at any good moment. Okay, anyways, let's not going off on that tangent. We've got some great guests lined up, and we're just gonna get to that like I said, that three drink depth of conversation is where I'm hoping to get to. When you're talking about life, when you're talking about philosophy, when you're talking about your grand ideas, or maybe that's just the kind of conversations that I have when I'm 3 drinks in. You're going to get to know me a lot too in this show, I think. So let's just have some fun. I'm going to quit rambling. Go ahead and listen to episode 1 with Steph Earl. If you're hearing this later on, check out the podcast. I'm hoping to get this on to every possible platform that I can. Of course, I don't use every platform, so we'll see how far that goes. And so if you want to follow along, hit the follow. You can follow me at Remote Control Kev on Instagram. That's my primary social media platform that I use. Might be the only that I really use on the daily. So if you like what you're hearing, if you like the show, hit me up on Instagram at Remote Control Kev. Stay tuned for more episodes, and let's hope this is a good time. Thanks for listening. Enjoy.